Hello guys and welcome to the 16th video of the HTML tutorial series where we're gonna be talking about more on tables. Before you move on, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell button to get notified for any new video uploads. So, in the last video, we talked about how we talked about adding tables, adding table rows, inside of which we had table headers or table data. We also talked about adding borders. Then we talked about uniting the borders into one with border collapse. Then we talked about adding padding and changing the default text alignment. So, just like you can unite all the borders into one with border collapse, what if I told you that you could add even more space? Let me mark this out as a comment. Okay? Let's say that instead of joining these lines, or these two, or any line, you want to add even more space. Well, you can do that by adding some border spacing. Okay? So, let's go ahead in here and add border spacing, and let's go ahead and add like 20 pixels and reduce the padding to like 5 pixels. Save, refresh, and there you have it. So, border collapse actually joins these two lines into one. By default, there is a really narrow space between them, but with border spacing, you can determine the exact spacing between the borders. Okay? So, let's go ahead and talk about cells that span in multiple rows or multiple columns. Let's say that we want the surnames to expand to both the second and third column, and we want the numbers to expand to move to the fourth one. Okay? We want the surnames to cover all this, and we want the numbers to move here. There is an HTML attribute which is called colspan, for short for column span. Okay, and if you set it to 2, this cell right here, this table header, will expand to 2 columns. If you set this to 4, it will expand to 4 columns, etc. Okay, save, refresh, and there you have it. It now covers 2 columns instead of 1. So you set it to 4, it will expand to 4. Okay? Here is the second, here's the third, here is the fourth, here is a fifth, which is really narrow because there is no data at all, and here is the sixth. Okay, sixth, fifth, fourth, third, second, and first column. Okay, again, if a column or row has no data, it will appear as narrow as possible. Okay, meaning that it will only follow the padding, the margins, etc. Now, if we added a cell in any fifth column, let's say for example here, go ahead, let's type in potato and save, then it would be crystal clear that it expands to 4 columns. I'm gonna remove this and I'm going to add a column span of 2 to the numbers, since we got a couple numbers for each person. Okay? And for Teresa Adams, who has only one number, I'm going to make this expand to the 4th column as well. Okay? So go to your number, add a column span of 2, save, refresh, and there you have it. Okay? So what about multiple rows? Let's say we want potato to cover 3 rows. Most of you have already probably guessed it. Instead of column span, you just go ahead and type row span. Okay? It works in the exact same way, and you just type in the number of rows you want it to cover. If we refresh, you can see that it covers 3 rows. But pay attention to this. This cell might appear to belong in this line, but it actually does not. It belongs to this line, okay? This row. So the second row is this. This whole cell belongs to the second line, okay? The third line ends here. Now, if I added something to the third line, let's say another element, let's say carrot, it would actually appear on the right. Okay? So should I mark this? It should not mark potato and mark carrot after that. Okay? If you reach potato, it will unmark the whole third line so far. It will mark potato, but if you go outside this cell, it shall mark the third line again, and shall you reach carrot, it will mark it properly. So, once more, potato belongs to this line and carrot belongs to this line. Okay? Potato is just a trespasser here. So, the second line is this right here, and the third line, let me change to green, the third line is this right here. Okay? I'm going to remove carrot, and I'm going to change the row span of the potato to 5 so that you can see that it will expand under this row just like numbers did, surnames did earlier on. Okay, how much? I did save row span 5. Okay, since there is no table row, it will not expand any further below this line. Shall I add an empty table row without any data? It should expand. Okay? Right here, you can see here is where the 5th line ends, and here's the 6th line. If you do not have a 6th line, it will stop right here. It will not move any further down. You have to have another row, okay? If you have a row, if you have no cells at all, no data, it will appear like this. If you have if you have actual data, actual table cells, it will appear just fine. So let's go ahead and add let's say a name like Batman, and we want Batman to have a call span of 3 because it's freaking Batman, and refresh, and there you have Batman, span 3 columns. Batman has no number because you only call him with his light signal. Okay, and potato now expands to 5 rows. Here you have it. Well, we talked about multiple column and row span. What else? Okay, what if you wanted up here to add some title, or let me shut down my air conditioner because I don't want to get cold in mid-May. Okay, let's say that you wanted to add some text up here. Either it is some information, some like heading or simple title on the table. You would normally have to add a div and place a heading or a paragraph above the table and center this according to the div. We're going to be talking about divs probably in the next lesson. But to avoid all that mess, HTML has us covered once more. Go before the first row and add a caption. In here, say phone numbers of people and Batman. If you save and refresh, you will see the caption right here. But captions can only be placed up here. You cannot have a caption over here. Should you want any information, let's say like title or whatever in here, you would have to add a separate row, set it to a column span of let's say 5 for this table, and remove the border. Let's go ahead and do that just so that you can see it's real easy. If you add a caption, let's say blah 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 blah, this right here, and save, it will appear at the top of the table. Here it is. But you want it under the first row, or maybe under the second row. Let's go under the first actually. Go ahead and delete this, add a table row, add a table cell, add the caption. Let's say this is my second caption, and add a column span of 5. Refresh, and here you have it. But just like we said, we do not want a border around it. We want it to look like an actual caption, like the one above. So what we have to do is go here and add some style, or add an ID and add style on the style block or the CSS external file. I'm gonna go ahead and add it right here. Type in border and none. If you save and refresh, the border is now gone. If you want to remove, let's say, the padding as well, go ahead and type padding 0. Refresh, and there you have it. Okay, so what else is there to talk about? We talked about pretty much everything except styling the tables. Okay, go ahead and remove the border spacing and bring back the border collapse here. Okay, remove the spacing, bring back the collapse. Go ahead, remove, actually don't remove it, just set this left and set this to center, which are the defaults. You can delete them, you can totally delete them if you want, but you don't have to. Okay, let's go ahead and refresh, see how this looks. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and delete this caption. I do not like it. Okay, this now looks much better. Now, what if we wanted the header line to appear to have a black background with white letters? We wanted this to have a gray background. We wanted this to have a white background, gray, white, gray, white. Actually create a grid of gray and white to make the information, the data, easier to read. For that, of course, we would have to use CSS. Go in here, type table row. Actually, go here, add an ID, and set it equal, let's say, head1. Add has head1. Add a background color, set it equal to black, and a font color, a text color, and set it equal to white, and refresh. And this did not change. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? I did something wrong, and I'm gonna find out what I did wrong. Give me a second. Okay. This is useless. I'm sorry. We all make mistakes. Since we do not have any other tables, we can directly edit the table headers. Okay? So, we wanted the table headers to have a black background with white text. Okay? And there we have it. I'm gonna leave the border to navy. You can see navy appears blue next to black and black next to white. You cannot really tell that this is blue. Looks like black. So how do we make the first row gray, the second row white, the second row gray, the third one white, the fourth gray, white, gray, etc. We want the evens to appear gray and the odds to appear white. Okay. Once more, CSS has us covered. Type in TD for table data. Type in the double dots. I'm not sure how these are called in English. And type nth child. Okay? In here, I want you to type even and give the style you want, which is a background color of gray. White is the default, so we're not going to be touching the odd ones. Go ahead and refresh, and okay, I did something wrong. Yep. You had to do table rows. I messed things up. I'm sorry, guys. I did the table rows on the last edit, and the table header, the table data now. You have to do it the opposite way of what I first did. I got confused. I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay. So for each individual row, here we say if it is a child, of the table, and the table only has table row tiles other than the caption, check whether if it is even or odd. The evens are this one, the second, the fourth, the sixth, the 8th if we add one, the 10th, etc. Okay? Even numbers are 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, okay? And odd one, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, etc. Okay? Go ahead and I want you to go ahead and make all the events one by one gray. I mean the background. Okay? And here you have it. Of course, potato is gray because it belongs to the second line, which is indeed even. 2 is an even number. Okay? Let's say that we want to add a gold background with black letters in all the odds. Go ahead, do the same thing. Instead of even, type odd and add a gold background and black letters. Save, refresh, and this is what you get. Okay? So, as you can see, rows that have missing cells, like the one with Batman, will not fill in the missing spaces. Only the table data will be filled. Okay guys, so you can experiment and do whatever you want. Okay, of course you can change the border to whatever color you want. You can do a lot of stuff. You can make the border like 20 pixels thick, which is ridiculous, but some people might like it, you never know. Or you can do whatever else you want. So in these lessons we talked about border spacing. We then talked about multi-column or multi-row span. Okay, then we talked about table captions. Remember, a caption will only stay on top of the table no matter how many you add. All the captions will appear on top of the table by default. And then we talked about styling the tables to make them easier to read or whatever. Okay, so in the next video we will probably talk about blocks, divs and spans, or something else. So thank you so much guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell button to get notified for any new video uploads. So see you in the next one guys.